April 2012 term. Honorable Judge Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing.
And our invocation today will be given by guest of Commissioner Dickens.
Thank you, Judge. And our guest minister today is Pastor Richard Gary Pounds. Would you come forward, please, Pastor Pounds? Richard Gary Pounds was born in Palo Alto, California, and he graduated from San Jose Christian College in '75 with a BA, and in '76 he got his Master's of Divinity at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena. He was ordained in 1980 and served in several churches in Santa Clara, California. He also served for 24 years in Pendleton, Oregon, and is now in his 5th year at Central Lutheran in Dallas. And he mentioned to me that in California, if they were opening a commissioner's court, they would never have a prayer before court. So that's their loss. Pastor Pounds has a Texas connection, as his mother was born in Kilgore and lived in Greenville until age 9. His family moved to California during the Depression. Pastor Pounds married his wife Doris in '75, and they'll celebrate their 37th wedding anniversary in August. They have 2 grown children, a daughter Erica, who lives with her husband in McKinney, and a son Garrett and his wife, who live in Modesto, California. Thank you for joining us today, Pastor.
Thank you for having me. Let us pray. Almighty and loving God, on behalf of all who are gathered here, thank you for the many and abundant blessings in our lives, including the measure of health we possess and the ability to be involved in useful work. In the scriptures you have said that prayers are to be offered for the governing authorities. Therefore I pray for our county commissioners and judge, asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests of our time, a sense of the welfare for the needs of the residents of this county, a desire to do what is just and right, the ability to work together for the common good even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda that is set before them today. Aid them in their deliberations to the benefit of those who live and work in this great county of Dallas. It is in your most blessed and holy name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Welcome to this meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. We'll be considering items on our official agenda. We've been recessed for our informal work session, and then we'll hear from registered speakers. At the conclusion of that, we'll go to closed session to consider items that's allowed by law. We'll begin today with some resolutions, but first, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege because it's somebody's birthday today.
Yes, it is.
One of the people on the dais up here is a birthday.
We're going to do more.
I know it.
Happy birthday, Commissioner. And
On behalf of
Commissioner Garcia.
Commissioner's Court and the staff, you know you are a healthy person.
Is this more lettuce from your garden?
No. Healthy enough. You're good fat.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
We're on to resolutions. We have several this morning, and the first four actually are from Commissioner Cantrell.
And Judge and Commissioners, certainly if I can call it Chief Bates, I know that Commissioner Garcia was going to share this resolution with me, and I moved out. Ask you to second. Can anybody get line up to move? I'll read this resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Dallas County Commission Court takes special notice where an individual has contributed greatly to our community. Whereas Chief Mitch Bates attained his bachelor's degree in business analysis from Texas A&M University and a master's degree in organizational behavior from the University of Texas at Dallas. He is also a graduate of the FBI National Academy, the Senior Management Institute for Police, and the Leadership Garland's 19th class, better known as the second best class. Best class. And whereas Mitch joined the City of Garland Police Department over 25 years ago, and due to his dedication, knowledge, work ethic, and integrity, he was promoted to the chief of police where he served for the past 9 years. And whereas Mitch, recipient of the 2009 NAACP Bridge Builder Award, has been a valuable asset to our community through his involvement in various projects and activities such as serving as the coordinator of the Dallas-Fort Worth Major Cities Police Chief of Police, an executive committee member of the Dallas County Criminal Justice Advisory Board, CJAB, and as chairman of the CJAB Law Enforcement Committee since its inception in 2008. And whereas as the chair of the CJAB Law Enforcement Committee, Mitch provided leadership in collaborating with the Dallas County Sheriff's Department on policy revisions regarding inmate property brought into the jail, was instrumental in preparing, coordinating, and obtaining approval from the law enforcement agencies for the inmate transportation cost sharing MOU between them and Dallas County, and was also helpful in building support for the Dallas County Incident Module among the law enforcement agencies. And whereas on March 30th, 2012, with reluctance, Mitch resigned from the Dallas County Criminal Justice Advisory Board, thereby enabling him to devote more time to his commitments as chief of police and to his wife for 22 years, Teresa, and his children, Jacob, Samuel, and Hannah. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Chief Mitch Bates for his service to our community, and wishes him the very best in his future endeavors. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Chief, I'll just say, you know, it's easy to read through some of those items, but you really brought leadership to the new height, particularly among the chiefs of police. There were some very sticky issues, and I don't know if the sheriff's here today, but those were some very delicate issues that you took a hold of and went in and without exception was able to get compliance from everybody. And what you've done through CJAB and Commissioner Garcia will speak on this is just unbelievable. We definitely appreciate all the hard work. I know you spent a lot of time and effort in that, and we just want to say thank you on behalf of Dallas County.
Thank you, Commissioner, I appreciate it very much, thank you.
Well, Chief, on behalf also of the whole Criminal Justice Advisory Board, of course our Vice Chair, Dr. Norris, and our Stretcher, Commissioner Petrell, and the whole board, we want to thank you and present you this plaque for the great job that you've done with our group. And, you know, like Commissioner Petrell just said, it's easy to say, but it's a lot of hard work. And with the memorandum of understanding that you were able to craft for all the different municipalities in Dallas County for the transfer of units, save a lot of money to Dallas County and to the taxpayers. So we want to thank you on behalf of all of us, Commissioner Petrell, the members of CJAB, who are here with us for all the work. And you did well. And I know you will stay in touch, right?
I will, I'm still going to be here, I'm still going to be around.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, thank you.
Chief, I just want to say on behalf of Dallas County, thank you. It's one thing for us to set up and promulgate policy in regards to those facilities that we control inside our purview. As we talked about the jail and limited space, the real issue for law enforcement was the accumulation and the bringing of property into that facility. If you detained someone and they had a bicycle, we had to bring it into the property of Dallas County. And so when we began to inventory the property over there, it was just unbelievable. The sheriff is definitely in control of the jail, but as you said, as Dr. Garcia and Commissioner Cantrell said, it took law enforcement working in collaboration in order for us to make that policy work. And so on behalf of the Sheriff's Department in Dallas County, I just want to say thank you as well. They don't realize how limited the space is over there. You got 400 individuals cycling in and out of there everyday property can really get to be an issue. And so thank you very much for all you did in that regard.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Oh, we spill it.
He spilled it. He moved the glass, he spilled it.
Yeah.
They probably don't know.
Thank you. We don't use cameras anymore, do we? Thank you.
Okay. The other three resolutions will be presented at a later date, and it's going to Casey Cooley, Kevin Taylor, and Cody Wells, and it's individuals that have achieved their Eagle Scout. So I would move your approval.
Second.
All right. Two resolutions, Commissioner Price.
Judge, if I could ask Brian King and the delegation, Brian King, to come forward. Just whereas Dallas County takes special notice when an individual has given long and faithful service to Dallas County. Whereas Brian King was born in Dallas, Texas, and attended Wilmer Hutchins High School, which is back there. And whereas Brian is married to Anita King and has one son, Dylan. He enjoys fishing, weight training, and water sports. And whereas Brian began his Dallas County career on March 11, 1987 in the Dallas County Sheriff's Department as a detention service officer. And whereas Brian has continuously served in the Sheriff's Department in various positions with increasing leadership responsibilities to include detention service supervisor, detention service manager, and now Deputy 1, where he currently serves. And whereas Brian has received many awards to include an honor graduate of the Dallas County Sheriff's Academy Class 107, the Susan K's Memorial Award, and a Certificate of Achievement Physical Fitness Standards from the Dallas County Sheriff's Academy Class 107. And whereas Brian has served Dallas County continuously and diligently for over 25 years, now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioner Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Brian King for over 25 years of faithful service, and further express his best wishes for his continued success in future years of service to Dallas County. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
And Chief was one of the chiefs who are going to step up and talk about it. You know, I just want to know, and I know Mr. Martin has gone through the academy. Do y'all do everything that Brian, I went out there one day and went through that academy training, and I just want to know if Mr. Martin had to take that mace in the face.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure. That mace in the face is for real.
First of all, I'll say good morning.
More than you saw.
As I begin to ask about Mr. King, and I talked to several people, and everyone had the same thing about Deputy King. And I'll use one word to sum it up: outstanding. Outstanding employee. As a supervisor, they loved him. And he's one with true leadership skills. And for that, we're very proud of him and all of his accomplishments here today. And we just want to congratulate him and his family.
I just trying to figure out how you went through that fitness with, because when they sprayed that mace in his face, he acted like it didn't bother.
Did you see when I was maced? I really enjoyed my time here at the Sheriff's Department, and I accept this resolution with much humility, and I'd like to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Lee, and we appreciate your service and look forward to 25 more years. And y'all just come on up to the side of this photo, okay? The next Sandra Sipper, and she and her delegation will come forward from the office. The resolution reads, whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice when an individual has given long and faithful service to Dallas County. And whereas Sandra Sipper was born in Sweetwater, Alabama, and attended Mattie T. Blount High School and the University of North Texas at Dallas. And whereas Sandra is married to Michael Sipper, they have 2 children, Brianna, who plays college basketball, and Jeremy, who plays college football. She's a child, right? And she enjoys watching professional basketball and football. And whereas Sandra began her Dallas County career on March the 19th, 1987 in the county clerk's office as a criminal court clerk. And whereas Sandra has continued to serve Dallas County in various positions with increasing leadership responsibilities to include court supervisor, assistant manager, and civil family courts operation manager in the district clerk's office where she currently serves. And whereas Sandra has received the Dallas County Stars of Excellence Award, and whereas Sandra has served Dallas County continuously and diligently for over 25 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Sandra Sipper for over 25 years of faithful service, and further expresses best wishes for her continued success in future years of service to Dallas County.
And I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Bishop?
Well, one of the things that, we poached Sandra from the county clerk's office, and John Warren, the county clerk, made the mistake of asking me to allow his civil file desk manager to office in my office, which gave me an opportunity to meet and to see Sandra Sipper in action. One of the fun things I do is I like to look for people who have great customer service, people who are bubbly and will, actually provide the sort of service we want in our office. Somebody who arrives to work on time, somebody who really takes the initiative in our office. So that's Sandra Sipper, and I got to watch that in action. So we offered her to promote her into this position, and it's been it's been overwhelmed the kind of things that she's done in the civil family section. As you can see, she's just slightly popular, just a little bit, with her staff. She does an excellent job in making sure those civil and family courts, and as you know, and working with those judges directly can sometimes be difficult, but she negotiates it.
Can't imagine that.
No, that's amazing, but she does so, and she negotiates those relationships with charm.
Yeah, one was a shake and shake.
Yeah.
Work with her.
What was this going on? Because got sick the weekend of my resolutions, but I would just like to say thank you, Dallas County, for 25 years, and a special thanks to Mr. B. Simmons and Mr. Warren for allowing me the opportunity to work on the their administration. Thank you.
You got kids that play college ball?
Yes, sir.
They're too young.
But thank you very much. We appreciate y'all. Be ready. And I'm gonna come visit and get this 25-year picture. Woman's power. Well, what's the other one?
The picture of the come on, ladies, don't be shy, don't play over
while they're coming, I do want to, Dr. Garcia said something, looking, she said, women's power. One of the things that Dallas County is going to have to do while they're adjusting, and some of y'all can stress that, we're going to have to adjust. The sheriff and I had a meeting in the detention service. We're almost at 60% female. No, detention. We're 900 inmates, of course, that makes a difference too in terms. But we're at 60%.
You can talk smile.
But we've also been meeting with Mr. Monroe in the district attorney's office and sheriff. Dallas County is going to have to do some adjustments with regards to state policy and some things that law requires us to do. So I will ask Mr. Monroe to get in touch with you with regards to those issues. We're going to have to see.
You had some preliminary comments about that.
Colleagues, members of the audience, you probably get county magazine. You've been getting it for years. I know that as a public servant, I've been reading it for many years. And one of the things that I noticed when I came here is that I haven't seen a magazine with anything about our wonderful Dallas County. So I went to Mr. Martin and I asked him to, we have so many good things that are happening here all the time. And sadly, we're also busy and sometimes with very little staff. So he asked Mr. Rick Lothberg. Mr. Lothberg, can you please stand up? Not that everybody knows you here, but on this issue, we have a very good article that I hope that you all have an opportunity to see. It's on the county website and my website as well, about Dallas County trails, what we're doing in Dallas County with other cities about it. It's an excellent piece about how municipalities are working with Dallas County to not only increase popularity, but encourage healthy living for all our citizens. And some of the trails that we have the opportunity to open, Camping Trail in Irving, and others, of course, Cape Trail are here, but we're going to open Kingsburg very soon. Commissioners Cantrell and Dr. Garcia's part of town, and I do have to say that it couldn't happen without leadership.
I know I look like.
I did say.
You said you had to
No, I said that.
No, she did not play.
I meant to say Commissioner Fry. And now I lost my train of thought. But it couldn't happen without a great group of volunteers that formed the trail board, and of course a great So with that being said, I look forward to the next opening. I just have a little bit of portion, but I'm going to get Commissioner pricing on that opening that one. We walked it last week. Commissioner Price is looking fantastic, and I think we all enjoy the workout. Josh Jenkins joined us, a little late, but you know, it's fashionable. We still make him walk like 3 miles, so,
We're trying to get him to say no justice on people. I'm not gonna speak to what y'all think I'm gonna speak to. I'm not gonna.
you're going to be very positive because it's working.
I'm not gonna
Well,
say.
and if I also might add to that, we opened the North Haven Trail 2 years ago, and phase 1, and that was a $3 million project, and we were so excited because that is a 50% match between Dallas County and the city of Dallas. And it came about because of the 2 city council women and myself who have been good friends for years, and we decided to get together and use our money to match that trail. And now we're working on phase 2 on the North Haven Trail, and that we hope will be 3 more miles of that trail. And that's going to be really exciting. And I want to thank Public Works and Alberta and Tony and all the people in Public Works for making it happen. And also, I want to thank Jim Westford, because we had one trail that Dallas County did exclusively, and that was a central trail in Richardson. And that was because our trail preserve group, our council, got together and decided that that was a trail that they were going to put their money into last year. And Rick, thank you for spearheading that. I appreciate it very much.
On the other day, we had the privilege of being visited by Governing Magazine. Dallas County featured in the next issue of Governing Magazine.
And I think we need to
All kinds of magazines I need to start reading.
Where is the magazine now? And I think we should continue to do this with different departments. The more I learn about Dallas County, I know that we have a long way to go, but definitely we have people that are making strides in every single part of our county. And I also want to thank Alberta with Public Works. We have the opportunity to tour other projects that we're doing connections as well. Commissioners Dickens, District and our commissioners can go as well. So it couldn't happen without a lot of people pulling together in the same direction. So, thank you again, Mr. Martin. Thank you, Mr. Rutherford. Thank you to the members of the Trail and Preserve Board. The work is noticed, and definitely anyone here has some opportunity to read. Thank you, Judge. So we're in a row with the good news. What else?
Yeah, move forward.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and next, I'll take this one. We now need to consider item 9. Is there a motion for a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second. Judge, this hearing is to discuss the comments regarding county community development block grant and the home program.
This is the first of 2 public hearings we're required to hold prior to August 15th. The county's going to be receiving about $2.6 million in CDBG funding and home funding that will be available October 1st of this current year. We're working with the 14 cities in our program right now to devise ways of effectively and efficiently utilizing those funds. Those cities themselves are also holding individual public hearings on their own. There will be another public hearing at the end of June when we receive all the proposals from the cities that the court will hold. That will be at the end of June. There will also be a public comment period where people can actually provide written comments as well. It's the same process that we've had before. We've been working closely with the cities. We expect we'll have good projects once again that have the court consider them and not good projects.
Mr. Westberg, first of all, we had one of the first hearings last week in DeSoto. And DeSoto came on a little late. I don't know if the mayor's here today, but came on a little late to about 2008.
Yes.
But they're beginning to move proactive.
They've been a very good partner. They've actually changed some of their policies and practices to it so that we can work with them better, like on replacement housing.
Right. We're talking about 3 million.
2.6 in total.
Okay.
There's some carryover money as well, but as far as new money as well, it's 2.6.
2.6 million. Okay. And I noticed on yesterday, one of the things, and I've never seen this happen in all my years. We had someone to release a lot of complaint with regards to replacement housing. Happened to be in my district. I have not generated a letter to that individual, copying you with regards to that. I think that it's probably laid out pretty clearly, but hopefully in this, whenever we do one of these projects, we will make it very clear to them. They have 1 year warranty to bring up any claims with regards to construction, efficiency, etc. They don't have 2 or 3 years, they have 1 year. And this one here has far surpassed that. The person is complaining almost 27 months after about some so-called efficiency. We don't want beyond that 1 year period, or the contractor, I'm sorry, not us.
We've been very fortunate with the replacement housing program. We've done probably about 130 houses over the last 10 years, and I can count on one hand the number of complaints that we've had, even within or outside the warranty period. We've had very good contractors, and we've just been very fortunate in that way.
Well, I just want to make sure that in this, that we make it extremely clear to them that 1 year, and I've never, like I said, had any county issues, but you've done a great job.
Thank you. Like we said with the trail program, we have great staff and we have great partners in the cities. And without those 2 ingredients, and without the court support, we wouldn't have anything.
Rick, one thing with this, for us to keep in mind is with the trails program, one of the really neat things that's happening in the trails that I'd like to see happen with this too, is we're spurring all sorts of development on trails. People that are building apartments and whatnot are building them to face trails, and the same phenomenon that's happening with this deck park that they're building. And it really resonated with me what you said a year ago at the briefing, that young childless people are choosing to live here, but when they have kids, they're moving up to Frisco and not losing them. Well, these trails, that's something where we can keep people here. This CDBG money, and again, I'm thinking about Lancaster and other places too. I hope we'll strategically use that to, particularly the hard-hit areas, to find ways to keep vitality and to help Lancaster in those areas that are hit coming out of the storm.
Because they've got to be candidate. It's got to be a candidate for replacement housing, number one. And this is primarily, replacement. Right. They don't quite meet that level of definition.
I think what the judge is saying is that, and we sort of touched on this in the briefing he alluded to a year or so ago, about trying to change the objective or the focus of the CDBG program, trying to maximize what resources we have. Right now, we've had for the last 15 plus years where every city that's in the program receives assistance, the participants in the program can receive assistance. And we've talked about maybe changing some of that so that some of the communities that have greater, stronger needs can receive additional funding or something like that. And we've been keeping an eye on that with the budget situation in Washington. The funding for this program has been up in the air for years. I'm anticipating the next few years it's going to be like that. But at that, I think we're at a point within probably about 2 years that we may need to do some dramatic restructuring of this program.
Yeah, but Rick, first of all, it's got to be the definition.
It does. The primary focus of this program is principally benefit low and moderate income people.
Exactly.
And so that's the first and foremost condition that has to be met. So that's, while there may be other areas that we'd like to see assistance done, this may not be the vehicle by which that can be.
Well, trails is an inducement. I understand and support the whole piece with trails. It's just, this is really targeted. And those homes that we have replaced, that's 100 and some odd homes, believe me,
they need to be replaced.
They need to be replaced. And so.
And usually the parameters are very few.
Big cities had the opportunity to participate in office.
Correct.
So you start prioritizing And cities feel like they're left out, they start participating in the program. So
We have a delicate balance to meet. The other thing that's going to influence what this program will look like in 2 years is that the largest that a city can be and participate in this program is 50,000. DeSoto is just a hair underneath that. Cedar Hill is rapidly approaching that as well. We had cities sign up for 3-year periods. There's a very good likelihood that when the next sign-up period comes for those 2 cities, they will be too large. And that's going to also adversely affect our funding that we receive from Washington. So next 2 years will be critical.
I just want us to go into this thinking about not only helping that homeowner, which is very important, but how do we do that in such a way, and how do we kind of pick our spots in such a way that it gives the maximum benefit to that homeowner and to that neighborhood. It helps, revitalize many lives and help as many folks as we've seen that. Hopefully we're doing that, and I think we need to look at, as you pointed out, and we've been talking about that, look at the places that have the most acute need for this. There is a balancing act with cities, but we've got 2 cities already that just give us their acute need. They take we're fortunate. Can you do that?
Obviously, it's like Court Apr, for example, it's one of the municipalities that we can see that we just started the replacement program as well. A lot of praise in there too, but nevertheless, we're always having people that are thinking. Thank you, Mr. President.
There's no other comments with regards to the Community Development Block Grant Home Program.
Move to close the public hearing.
What I said,
Any public comment? Any public comment?
move to close the hearing.
And I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a bid today, is the motion on bid done?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll consider, well, I think we've got, is there a revision to the revision of 27, or just, we've been revised one? So we'll take a motion on Court Orders 11 through 39, including the revised 17 and 27. Before we do that, I know some of us just got the revision on 27 back in, please take
Can you just please, because I just got it right now.
Right. Glad to be able to update you. Based on Court Apr from Dallas County DA's office, they recommended that the term be revised in the contract that takes the contract from October 1 through April 23rd. As you're aware, we have our senior center. We go ahead and execute the contracts, but the dates were before until they're ratified, so we're beyond the same target dates. That's what the revision is to ratify the date, so it will reflect the current year.
Any questions on that before you take a vote?
And just
No, we
for,
got a motion.
yeah, we have it. Just for the record, Mr. Thompson, and these are, these deals pretty much with all the adult services agreement and site sponsors, right?
That's correct. These are basically our transportation for our senior centers, that we transport seniors from our centers, the 3 centers, and we have at least 11 centers, but they transport those seniors from their homes to the senior center daily. And so that's an average of over 50 people per day who are riding on these buses. So it's real critical to have this type of transportation, and we really appreciate those providers who join in based on gas prices. This is a small token in that process.
But what it offers to our seniors.
Senior
All over
citizens.
the city.
That's right, grant funded.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Court Orders 11 through 39, which are revised on both 17 and 27.
I think we already have.
We have a motion.
Okay, I second.
And I have a comment on number 24. And that is, first, are we going to get these volunteers for the MRC, the Medical Reserve Corps, are we going to do a background check on them?
Okay, for 24, that's for advertising, but yes, I believe whatever the judge, in terms of volunteers recommends, we're in line with that in terms of doing background checks, yes.
Are we gonna advertise it on the radio?
We're gonna do a background check,
I don't
we're trying to recruit volunteers, and once they accept, then we will let them know, part of the documentation, that there will be a background check.
Well, I certainly enthusiastically want us to get this money. However, I just have a comment, and that is that the Department of Health Services is giving us almost $300,000 for a radio campaign to recruit volunteers into the Medical Reserve Corps in case of a disaster. Just a comment, great for us to have the money, I'm thrilled, but $300,000 for a radio to get solicit people and volunteers on the radio, it's a lot of dough. You know, when you hear about government spending and excess spending, and then you see $300,000 for radio advertisements, that just kind of makes you wonder where the sanity is in our government spending. But I'm for it.
Well,
This is Governor Perry's program
You know, government spending is government spending, so.
well, we just won't be on the right government back.
But understand, this is governor's program, this is state of Texas money, coming to Dallas. I agree with you that we want to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, but this is a good program, and I saw, firsthand the.
And I agree with you, it is a good program. Just seemed like a lot of money.
In the MRC, we've had at least about 1,200 individuals.
1,200 individuals. We have a number of exercises we're coming up on May 19th that we'll be having at Woodrow Wilson. One of the things is that we realize that volunteers need to understand the importance of reaching medical, provide physicians, nurses, and everyday citizens. So what we've done with these previous campaigns is that we brought in additional people who were unaware of this program. So this is not the first time we've had this before the court.
Exactly.
And it's been very beneficial to get the message out, especially in hard-to-reach communities. If you look at the process, you have television, you have radio, ads, but we look at the targeting, where you can reach more people, and based on the arbitrary ratings, you see that radio has the best venue to reach a lot of the volunteers who come in. So they do hear the commercial, they volunteer, and it's been very successful in the past.
And it's going to be, Mr. Thompson, with a diverse group of languages.
Right, the Spanish language, we taught Spanish language stations that we've done in the past, and again, it's basically word, the state, any document I bring before you, the state is already pre-approved, so they said okay.
Well, we know how important it is to be trained and prepared for emergencies, and sometimes how hard it is to reach people, especially as volunteers. So while I agree that it's probably a lot of money, I also know that advertisement is very expensive. I'm about to advertise for my private business, and I have to tell you, it's $10,000 for less than a month. And I'm not all day advertisement, just sometimes. So radio is even more expensive. So, well, I definitely look forward to see this, Mr. Thompson. I hope to see the training be very successful, because at the end of the day, you have to be prepared for catastrophes, and I think that's what the government is spending this money on this kind of advertisement. With that being said,
On quarters 22-23, tax office, Brad, how much have y'all returned today? About $25 million. How much money have y'all returned?
Can you say that again, sir?
You're returning these excess tax payments. I know you got in office, we had borrowed, but how much money have we returned today? About what, 25 million?
At least.
At least $25 million we've returned.
For overpayments and adjustments.
Okay. Call the question.
And I just have one last comment, Judge, colleagues. Court Apr 39 is something that is really important for the city of Copperville. And I want to thank Public Works for all the work on this. I know they're really excited and I look forward to working with you on this project. So thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? And next is our briefing session. Mr. Morgan, I see Chris George here. We're now reconvening the public session and recess for our briefing session to consider items for a subsequent session. I see Chris George, they're number one.
First item, Judge, is number one, non-central Texas Health Facility Development Program, Facility Medical Center, Dallas application for certification. We have Mr. Luna and Mr. Bowl, who are here to take a short presentation.
Morning, Judge. Good morning. I'm Bob Luna, General Counsel of North Central Texas Health Facility Development Corporation. As you are aware, we have received an application for financial participation from Children's Medical Center in the amount of $180 million. Children seeks to refund some prior bonds that were issued in 2002. Take advantage of the interest rates that are prevalent in the market today. Here to describe in a little bit more detail is Ted Brizzler, bond counsel from Court Apr, along with the children's officials.
I'm Ted Brizzler with McCall Partners Department, and we're acting as bond counsel for this particular bond issue. As Bob said, back in 2002, the North Central Texas Health Facility Development Corporation issued, I think, $187 million worth of bonds for new construction at the center here in Dallas. Rates have come down. Children filed an application with the board of North Central Texas to ask them to refund those bonds. And the North Central Texas Board met on April 11th for the application. They approved the application and authorized children to move forward. These new bonds are just a refunding bond, there's no new money or anything else. Interest rates have fallen. Children expect to save approximately $1.3 million each year in debt service because of the lower rates. We've had a public hearing after notice that the public in Dallas Morning News. We had a public hearing on March 27th. No member of the public showed up to speak. The board of North Central Texas is scheduled to meet on April 30th to consider their final action, which would be a bond resolution authorizing the transaction to go forward. We're here today to answer the questions and hope to be on the agenda next week so that the bond issue can proceed to close in May.
Thank you. And talking to both of you and Mr. Room, still, what is the cost? And I looked through all of it. I still don't see the cost of the syndicate and the breakdown. And did I just miss it?
It should be in the application, and it should be divided out. I believe the syndicate consists of Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Security, Strata Hinojosa, and Secret.
I got that.
Okay.
I got that. I still don't, but I don't see cost associated with the issue.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for.
Are you looking for the breakdown of
I'm looking for the
managers? Okay, but the breakdown of managers, I believe, is the same as it was in
It's the original.
2009.
I saw that. No, not percentage. I got percentage. Cost. What's the cost of the issue?
The cost of issuance?
The cost of the reissue.
Okay, I believe the cost will be, Ray, you know what cost?
The total cost of issuance is about $1.8 million with all the legal fees and all of the ground fees for the participation with the underwriters.
Is there, with McCall, is there a code bond counsel or the only bond counsel?
We are the only one.
And for participation, now regarding Strata, Hinojosa, and 25%. That's 25% of the co-managed underwriting fees.
That is correct. Underwriting fees and takedown or anything else at the same time, across the board.
Okay. Between now and April the 30th, on the 1.8, I want to see the distribution. Okay? And, Judge, I have met with Mr. Durbridge and with the CPA, and definitely, so I support the issue, so I want to see the breakdown on the issue.
I'm also going to be supported as a former member of the Children's Medical Board. I know how hard you work. But a prime facility we are lucky to have here in Dallas when it comes to primary care and primary training for physicians. Children's medical is one of the best in the nation. And we recognize for, from being the most technological all the way to the store. So,
What is your charity? What is your charity care right now, Mr. Durbridge? I know you're here to tell us. What's the percentage of your charity care right now with regards to children's? Come on. No. Because as far as I'm concerned, that is a large part.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Judge. We serve 2 out of 3 children that we serve are on some form of public assistance, meaning Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program, state Children's Health Insurance Program. And for the year just ended, December 31st, 2011, we provided $78 million of virtually uncompensated care to the community. As you know,
78 million?
Yes, sir. As you know, Commissioner, no child is turned away regardless of their family's circumstances.
And that's up from last year, I'm sure.
It is.
What was it last year?
I want to say it's a bit below.
Just a little over $60 million.
60 million, so you're up to 78 million.
It's a huge increase.
Yes, it is.
Commissioner Price, when you asked for the distribution, what were you referring to?
The syndicate, 1.8, that I want to know what the distribution is with regards to the syndicate that's in the
Syndicate.
well, that's what they're called, but those are the participants. It's broken out by percentages, and then they're called the syndicate, and the result.
The racial measure?
No. They don't talk about the syndicate. The syndicate is, we know what the syndicate is. I'm asking, what is the distribution within the syndication of the issue? They recognize.
Judge, I want to say one thing about children's medical. They not only do the charity care, but they also are very aggressive in technology, like I said. Matter of fact, one of their doctors secured a grant from the Bruce Jones Foundation for over $1 million looking at one of the big holes that had in foster care is a medical institution. Dr. Ann, I don't even begin to say her last name, but is looking at that, and it looks like we're getting together so we can add that into JCMS as it goes implemented across the state. And it looks like we may be able to team up together and provide that so that every judge that hears a case has that medical package all the way through the system. We appreciate what y'all do in other areas too.
And you have a program, I'm not sure if you still have it, but it's a day at the hospital where we actually went on rounds. And I went into the OR with the village and we saw how stents were put in hearts. And I was just, it's something I'll never forget. It made such an impression on me. I think that's an awfully good program. And for elected officials and opinion makers in the city and the county, I think that's just invaluable. And I hope if you do it, that you'll ask me again.
Thank you, Commissioner Dickey. We still do have that program, and we'll look forward to sending an invitation to you and your colleagues to join us again. That's Holes in the Heart, our big dog on deal for kids, as well as some of us in this room, I suspect, at some point in our future. So it's important that we understand that.
It's assuming you have partners.
Same thing about brains too. But anyway, how is it the 11-15 going to play for children? Since we're
I'll bring my technical expert up here next to me, and I'll comment after you.
Make sure that is that okay, since we kind of want children, so we can talk about it?
It's relevant.
and they have to wait for the first time.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For those
waiver is an arrangement between the state of Texas and the federal government to redesign all of the Medicaid system across the state. There are a number of aspects. It's fairly complex, and those issues are still being worked out at the state level right now. As Chris identified, about 2 out of every 3 children that are seen at Children's Medical Center are covered by some form of a program that will be impacted by the 1115 waiver. One of the most important considerations of the 1115 waiver is that the state has chosen to delegate some administrative responsibility from the state offices to 19 individual county hospitals across the state to develop regional health partnerships. That's fairly innovative for the state of Texas, and will stress those county hospitals across the state to develop a mechanism which will reach out to as many as 20 to 30 to 50 hospitals in each one of their regions to build the administrative mechanisms. And so I would offer to you that the next year or so will be very important to the success of the implementation of that program. It will take a lot of effort. There's substantial federal dollars involved, upwards of $3.5 billion a year for the state of Texas. Does that help?
Right, well, and the reason I ask you, because over on the behavioral side, we're in that, of course, that North Star region. And as such, the 7 counties, we're now being divided into 3 sub-regions. I'm wondering on the primary care side, are you going to wind up in those similar regions, or are you all still in the region, because you have facilities in more than one county?
Yes, we do.
And as such, how is that going to navigate where you are with regards to the 1115? Because at least on the behavioral side, counties are choosing partners,
yes,
choosing regions, if you will.
Yes.
And first of all, I guess I really want to make sure that just in case you have that option, that you're still with us in the Dallas region.
Stay with Dallas.
Yeah, so some people didn't want to be with Dallas in the region.
But that is what is being discussed in Austin, if I understand correctly, right? How would you deal with entities that have more than one location?
That is one of the aspects of the 1115 waiver.
That's what you're asking, right? And you stick with us with all the locations?
The organization that would be best positioned to answer that question is Parkland, because Parkland acts as the anchor of that region and is one of the 19. We are actively trying to engage with them to be a participant to serve the Dallas community. And so we have every intention of fully participating, as well as we may need to participate with other regions because we have facilities across the country.
I got it. That's what I was trying to do. This.
Let's go one step further. Earlier on, we had that policy. We had to has that door been open? That's a good question.
Yes, Commissioner, that door has been opened. There is a very substantive, detailed process dealing with both the uncompensated care pool as well as the district pool, the 2 pools that are part of the 1115 waiver. We have the opportunity to participate with our leadership team as members of each of those respective subcommittees that are doing the work, and I serve on the steering committee chaired by Mr. Allison from Baylor and Dr. Royer from the Department of Health System. We have also offered several proposals that are being considered as part of the district process, and we look forward to further rulemaking at the state level and how that impacts what's happening in each of the 4 NIDIS organizations, as well as the other 15 public hospitals across the state of Texas. So we are part of that conversation, and it remains to be seen, obviously, how we go forward. But yes, Commissioner, we are very much in support of what's happening in Dallas County. We have been approached by other regions where we do have facilities, but this is our home.
That's what I said.
Chris, Commissioner Price's question reminds me of a question I have, and that is, if there's some counties that were presumed to be in our region that may not be in our region. And so the anchor hospital being Parkland, obviously would service the children's. But considering that you have children's in another area that might not be part of our region, would that transfer hospital then be another hospital, or would it be Parkland? Or do you know?
The short answer, Commissioner, is we don't know. But our sense is that we're prepared to work with not only Dallas County, but in the event there are other regional health partnerships that are created with private, not-for-profit, for-profit entities. those in Collin County or elsewhere. As you know, we do have a facility in Collin County. We also have 3 primary care sites, referred to as My Children's, 2, soon to be 3, excuse me, in Collin County. So yes, we have been part of those conversations as well.
Well, and I guess that's going to be a conundrum that has to be worked out, because it's not just Children's that's in that situation. It's any hospital that has multiple hospitals that might fall into that. Yes, a lot of questions to be answered by May the 1st, or is it June the 1st, and then to be implemented by October the 1st.
May the 1st. These are very, very complex, complicated issues.
Yes.
We're all working very hard.
Well, good luck to you all.
Chris, on that, I know that the group that you're on with Dr. Allison was here, Mr. Allison was the chair under the Dallas Medical Resources. Their concern was intergovernmental transfers outside of the county. We now have in writing from Tom Cease and I think Tom, and there was one of them, that those intergovernmental transfers are possible. So from the Dallas County taxpayer standpoint, this region that allows more local control for Collin County and these other counties shouldn't affect our ability to do intergovernmental transfers and maximize recovery of federal dollars for our Dallas-based hospitals, even for their facilities in Plano or wherever they are. And also, I want to commend you of all the hospital CEOs. I like getting your calls the best because you are to the point. I don't know if you do a script, but it's here's what I need, here's why I need it, here's why it's in the people of Dallas County. It's a 90-second phone call. I love visiting with you. Longer than that, but you were the most concise of everyone on these issues, and I really appreciate that. I mean that as a compliment.
Yes, sir. I take that. Thank you very much.
They have the best breakfast. They sell the breakfast.
Thank you and your staff, and on behalf of my staff, and the Rodriguez family.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will be getting that.
We'll get you information.
Item 2, elections, 3 sheriff, 4 include right to sign, and 5 new use of civil service. Those photos on the formal agenda. The majority of them were grant submissions that were time sensitive. I would like to move to item number 9, briefly use the Office of Technology, the IT security possible vision comments, and recommend approve the IT access control policy or including the Dallas County Code. Judge Lowry is here. Would like to speak for a moment on this issue.
Please come forward, Judge.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Martin Lowry, Judge in the 101st Civil District Court and Local Administrative District Judge. I'm not aware of any opposition to this policy, so I'm not sure I'm going to take much time talking about it. I do think it includes some important updates to bring our policies in line with state law as pertains to control of information by elected officials. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank Randy, the Information Technology IT Security Officer, Gordon Michael and Deborah Jai in his office for their help in drafting this, and Commissioner Cantrell and Mr. Vikram for supporting it through the IT Executive Governance Committee. I'm not going to be able to be here next week when this is on the formal agenda, but I'm certainly hopeful that it will be approved unanimously. And I think it will be an important step forward for the county. And that's all I've got.
Judge, I just want to say thank you for shepherding this through. You know, Judge Lowry took the leadership role from the district judges across the street, and he's the one that was able to make this thing go through. Him and Gordon spent a lot of time in Stanley, spent a lot of time in making this happen. I just appreciate your leadership in making it go through, and us not having any responses says everything. So, thank you very much.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you, Judge.
Can I have a question about the policy? I was reading it last night, and Judge Lowry, you may answer this question too, but I didn't have my question answered by reading the policy. So let me ask now, several years ago, before two of our members were on the court, there were some computers seized, computer files seized, as you know. And there was a lot of talk back and forth that you don't have the right to do it, and then the other side was, well, it's our county computer system, and we have the right to we own the system, and we have the right to the information in the system. And I say that it was not confidential information to my knowledge. So, is that answered in this policy, or is there an answer to that today?
Well, I certainly hope it's answered in this policy. We've added an entire new section to clarify that. And state law, the local government code, several attorney general opinions make it very clear that irrespective of who owns the hardware, the information belongs to the elected official. And this policy will not permit that kind of seizure absent a court order, a warrant, a subpoena, some proper legal process. And candidly, that's why I've been working on it, because I think that needs to be clear. And we won't have this kind of controversy in the future.
It's clear. It's clear.
I read that, but I wanted it stated.
Oh, I'm stating. That's what I certainly
Well, I asked you.
hope and intend this policy will achieve.
The main issue is due process.
Exactly.
In other words, if you have sufficient evidence to warrant seizing somebody's information on their computers, all you have to do is give a subpoena.
A subpoena or a search warrant, as the case may be, but you're going to have to go through a legal process. All right. Thank you, Judge.
Amendment, you judge and you Commissioner Cantrell, because I think we have an excellent judiciary here in Dallas County. I'm very proud of their collective work and helping us get the jail population down and decreasing the backlogs on the civil side. But all those people are autonomous individuals who were elected. A lot of them are old friends of mine from way back, type A personalities. Everybody's got a different viewpoint. Early on when I was elected to this office, I got an earful from 10 or 11 different judges about how they want to do something exactly opposite of another judge with IT and computers. It seemed like there was a real opportunity there for dissension. And the fact that y'all were able to get your IT policy through, kind of shepherd that through, and with the lack of comments that we've got opposing that, tells me that everyone got their needs covered and is working together on that. That's going to be so critical to us as we move to this adult case management system and all of these processes that we're trying to move to so that we can better control our information. And so the work that y'all have done on that is it's a key foundation building block to allow us to better process information, which is good for everybody. It's good for providing services. It's going to be good for the taxpayer. It's going to save us money, save us few trees. So it's really, really good. Really appreciate that work.
Thank you.
And I just want to echo. No, I know you have to leave this.
No, it's fine. Yeah, if it's friendly, I'll stay.
Well, and I just want to echo, Mr. Judge Jenkins' comments, because Commissioner Cantrell, the IT department, and the judiciary have really gone together in a lot of issues. When it comes to technology, when it comes to one forfeiture, Judge Burns, Judge Adams, have been in the forefront, and we have the leadership skills to really work together, and that is priceless. So thank you again, Commissioner Cantrell, and you, because when you make something happen, it's when really that is more effective, and it's for taxpayers' benefit. Hey.
I guess the last thing, since we just can't seem to quite leave it alone, I really want to praise the IT governance process that's been put in place in the last year or so here. Judiciary really appreciates having a seat at the table, and it's an effective process under the leadership of Commissioner Cantrell and Mr. Vicker. And I'm a lot more optimistic about Dallas County IT than I would have been a couple of years ago. So we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge.
Thank you. Item 5D, recess for civil service, corrections school request for granted introduction of membership dues for the Dallas County Constable Association, according to Dallas County Code. Item 6, public works, 6A, recommends consent of the sale by the city of Grand Prairie, parcel of land identified in Exhibit A by public sealed bid in accordance with Texas Property Code. 6B, recommend accepting the offer and purchase price from Next Lots 2 for the vacant tax proposed property in Ball Springs, authorized sale by Chris Payne D, and authorized disbursement of proceeds to the taxing entities in accordance with Texas Property Code. Item 6C, recommends accepting the offer and purchase price from Kishore Patel for the vacant tax proposed property in Ball Springs, authorized sale by Chris Payne D, and authorized disbursement of proceeds to the taxing entities in accordance with Texas Property Code. Item 6D, recommends approaching agreement for the construction and reconstruction of the Merritt Road MCIP project. Item 7, purchasing, recommends the lease of the RFP for SOC 1 Type 2 report audit services for the Dallas County Tax Office, authorized purchasing to advertise and solicit proposals in accordance with local government code. Item 8, Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, recommends acceptance of the fiscal year 2011 Homeland Security Grant Program funding. We already did number 9, number 10, budget, 10A, we have the conference travel training request, 10B, hiring fees accepted in county clerk, district attorney, and the law library. Item 10C, recommends approval the addition of a clerk position to the Sheriff's Office Fiscal Affairs Division and refer to HR Civil Service for review for proper classification for the position. And item 10D, that court orders on the formal agenda, and there are no further questions after the agenda. I have one bring up by Mr. Brown.
We have 7 individuals from the juvenile department traveling to Houston on May 1st, funding from JJAP. Then we have 4 people traveling to Austin on May 2nd, also funded from JJAP.
Judge, that concludes your reading agenda. You have 10 speakers listed.
Before we get to speakers, let me give a quick shout out to Scott Gruson with Homeland Security. Great job working with the governor's folks and the state folks to get lots of money. More money for Dallas County, other people's money. And, you know, that's my favorite kind of money, other people's money. Good job. Before we get to speakers, we'll just need to check with Ben Stula, as I asked him to be here for this, in case there was some question about whether we call a special election. So could you check to see what he is going to be here? Email him.
We'll call him.
Or are you doing that for him?
Judge, Mrs. Sue and I spoke about this issue, and my suggestion to the court would be, in light of the speakers, this particular issue is that if we want to be able to give them legal responses to the questions they're asking, probably best to let them speak today, and then sometime next week, post an item on the formal agenda so that we can then, or a briefing agenda, so we can engage in a back and forth discussion in answering the legal questions. My concern is that you use a rule that matters that are not posted for discussion, and if there are things that are brought up during the public speaking section of the meeting, then we simply limit the reading as policy and not answering any legal questions, and that's a concern that I have. So that would be my suggestion to the court, so put it back in the agenda next week, let me speak, and then put back this issue in the agenda next week, but we can respond to any legal questions that they may have.
Okay, but here's just out of respect for the speakers. I think they're going to, a lot of them are going to ask us to do something we have no legal authority to do, and rather than just having them talk and not telling them, you know, what the rule is, could we not just in answer to a question, have one of the lawyers explain to them what our discretion is so they could understand what they want to ask us for?
Well, I believe you did that last week when you read the memo from Mrs. Stu. And reading the memo didn't cause the folks to stop asking questions. So what I suggest is, if there are more questions to be asked, put an item on the agenda, and then we can have all the questions and answers back and forth that way.
All right, so your advice is to let them speak and not tell them what the law is?
Well, Judge, I believe you did that last week. You explained what the law obligates you to do as a judge, and what the law obligates you to do as a commissioner's court, in light of one being a vacancy, if there's a vacancy. We explained to them last week what the legal process is involved in the grant of appeal, but they're faced with more questions. So what I'll suggest, in light of his ruling, and discussing matters that are not posted for discussion, that let him speak, and then next week perhaps we add an item on the agenda so we can have a back and forth dialogue as to what your obligations are again. We can do it one more time.
When you clarify the law, I think it should be what the county's obligation is or is not. And also whether the county had the discretion, if it wanted to be able to appoint that person, or is that prohibited too?
Correct.
Another piece of it.
What I suggest is, again, that as you mentioned last week, that because of the appeal process involved in Ms. Judge Medrano's appeal, that your hands are tied as Commissioner's Court. There's nothing for you to do, because under the law there's no vacancy, because he has appealed his conviction. We said it last week, based on the opinion written by Mr. Stewart from the DA's office. That hasn't changed. The appeal is still pending. If there are more questions that folks want to ask, even though you've said that there's not a vacancy, and obviously if there's not a vacancy, then you can't call a special election because there's no vacancy. But if folks want to ask the questions again, then I'll suggest legally that we pose the item on the agenda next week, and then we can have all the discussions about, again, what are your obligations as a judge and obligations as a Commissioner's Court.
And for anyone that wants it, why don't we do this as well? We've got the legal memo that I read, which, the five of us get here, and I'm sure the county employees that deal with that all the time, they understand that. But maybe we could put that information into a kind of a question and answer form. Does the court have the ability to call a special election? And answer. Does the court have the ability to do whatever else they're asking for?
Absolutely.
An answer. So that you can put all the legal, stuff underneath that, but just in layman's terms, one answer, one sentence answer to could we even do what you're asking us to do? So people can understand that, because there is some confusion. I even had, members of the press ask me over the last week things where they didn't understand what the memo said. This is being read real fast. So,
what I'll do is, based on the public comments today, I will try to surmise what the legal issues are, and then we'll prepare something that will address those answers for next week.
Okay, great. Well, let's hear from our public speakers then. Available, please read the rules of the forum for public speakers.
All Commissioner Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, and slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during the public meeting. Any and all clauses will be kept brief in observance to time constraints. Destructive visitors and registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code Section 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
And our first speaker today is Julia Elzada. Ms. Elzada or?
Her name is Apollo. No.
Y'all can stand in the back, but, just the speaker for this, you can all show your support and stand there. Ma'am, if you'll just state your name, and then you'll hear a beep, and also your address. And your... Okay. She said, okay. And then tell us your address, and you're gonna hear. Okay, thank you. And you'll hear it beep, and just, speak, and then when you hear the next beep, at the end, if you're still speaking, just finish up your sentence. Thank you for coming today.
I just came to ask some questions to Mr. Wiley. That we always help him and protest him, and he always mentioned, justice, no peace. What happened with the justice? What happened with the peace? We helped you raining, frozen ourselves to give him again. Now he turned around. I gave my son 2 beautiful names, Luis, Daniel, and he named him sour grape. What's the reason? He didn't do anything wrong. Want the answer? How come he didn't get his job? He didn't did anything wrong. I raised honest children. I raised 9. I had 3 jobs to raise it. My husband was sick. We never welfare kids. What's the reason? You don't like Mexicans. We don't do nothing wrong. We support you. And now you bite in my hand. Thank you.
Mrs. Bova, one thing I want you to understand, that if you're angry about the decision to place that judge there, please don't blame these other commissioners, because Commissioner Price and Commissioner Garcia, that's not their decision. That's solely in the hands of the county judge, and I assigned the judge that were already there.
Why he give my son another name?
I don't know about that, but those of you who are angry, about the appointment of Judge Ellis, be angry with me, don't be angry with Commissioner Dickey, Cantrell, Price, or Garcia. Thank you, ma'am. All right, and our next speaker is Mr. Vinny Romero. Vinny Romero. All right, I don't think that person's here, so they are, our next speaker is Ms. Rachel Alonzo. And Ms. Alonzo, same thing, just you can pull that down.
I understand, but before anything else, I'd like to say the other people came in support. They stood by the speaker, and you did not allow this lady that came. We were only here to support this. We were only here to show love and gratitude for her. And yet, other people come and support their speakers. What's wrong with that? That's the first thing I found wrong. Let me just say before anything else, Ms. Garcia, I found that you said, first let me say, my name is Rachel Alonzo, and I live at 319 South Bond Avenue, and I take pride in my city, my community, and let me tell you, I beautify everything that I can think of that makes a difference. And I thank Mr. Micah Phillips for that, because he's been around to help us all, even putting roses and putting this and doing this and helping everything else. But I didn't come for that, but thank you, Ms. Garcia, for that. But I just want to tell you that I did find it horrifying to see what had happened. And Judge, I do blame you. I don't blame none of them. Oh, no, sir. It was so horrifying. It was unprofessional. And I said, not my beautiful city. They're not doing this. Let me ask you one question, and that, did you ban Judge Sepulveda from this court? Did you? He's no longer allowed to come? I want to ask you, Judge, did you ban him from this court?
Finish your statement, I'll be glad.
No, I'm asking you, first of all, that's what I wanted to know.
I'll answer that.
Yeah, you'll answer that. But right now, I just wanted to say that it's important for us to have a bilingual judge. After all, Mr. Madrano resigned, and whatever allegations, that's between him and God. But you know what? That is so sad that we don't have a bilingual judge and that you don't put Mr. Sepulveda back. You've got the power. You do. But that's okay. We continue to do this. But I do need to know, and I need to find you clear, make it clear to me. Will you put him in jail if he comes in this court? Will you? Now, I'm ready for your answer, sir.
Are you done?
I'm ready for your answer.
Are you done speaking, ma'am?
I'm ready for your answer, sir.
Are you done speaking?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm ready. And that's what I said, I'm ready for your answer.
Mr. Sepulveda, it's okay to answer these questions, I'm assuming, even though it's not on our agenda, because I'm happy to answer for it.
Yes, if I personally mean, we should ask you, Mr. Sepulveda is abandoned this court, and certainly we will respond to that question. But again, the whole discussion filling the vacancy, then I'll suggest the court not respond to that question. A lot of the discussion we had last week.
I understand.
So, Mr. Sepulveda came here without registration.
Yes, I understood that too.
And he was removed after refusing to sit down. Pursuant to our rules, he is not to come into this room for 6 months.
Oh, 6 months, oh.
6 months. Those are rules that I inherited, but rules that I will enforce. And that's the answer to your question. Our next speaker is Julie Vasquez. Ms. Julie Vasquez. Our next speaker is Mr. Michael Grant. Michael Grant. Yes, sir, go ahead, sir.
My name is Michael Grant. I live at 7905 Marvin D. Love Freeway, apartment 1611. Part of the reason why I'm here has been partially answered, but I'm still in the loop. The subsequent speakers have left me with more questions than I need that I'd like to address. On that particular place 5, precinct 5, place 1, now you said the Attorney General's opinion rendered an opinion that since he's appealing, that is that the place is not filled. Or is this what I'm hearing? I mean, he still can be put back in it. Is this correct?
You tell me, can I know we don't normally do these back and forth, but we got.
Judge,
Can we answer his question, stop his time, answer his question?
No, Judge, what I suggest is that the speaker speak. If you raise any questions again concerning the vacancy of the Judge Madrano's seat, I will then have these questions addressed and put on the court's agenda for a subsequent discussion.
All right, let me let you go ahead and finish your.
The reason why I asked him is because that he did resign, that left a vacancy, and why not the special call for a special election? Are your hands that tied? That's all.
All right, so the next speaker is Mr. Manuel Martinez. Mr. Manuel Martinez. Okay. Our next speaker is Linda De La Rosa. Mrs. Linda De La Rosa.
My name is Linda De La Rosa, and I reside at 3522 Toronto Trail, that's Dallas, Texas. And I just want to say that I would like for Judge Sepulveda to have a fair chance and be reelected and probably continue. We just need to reunite and cut out all the bad things that's going on, and we have Michael Phillips here, he's a good supporter.
Linda, pass those out. Pass the papers out, I forgot it.
All right, folks, let's, you're welcome to talk to each other quietly, but we're still, the court's still, so let's not talk back and forth. All right, next one is Miss.
I still have time to, sorry, sir. I just
Sure.
want to see like.
Miss Damantina E. Garcia.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the court. My name is Damantina Garcia, and I live at 3934 Ingersoll Street. And I'm here this morning. It's not about money issue. We're looking for peace, unity. Michael has been trying to keep the peace. And we put Judge Sepulveda as temporary judge, right?
Can't answer the question, sir. Can't answer
If the question is, and I believe the second last speaker also asked you a question of fact, whether or not, or he made a statement of a question of fact, that you received this resignation from Judge Sepulveda, and you may respond to that factual assertion. My caution here is in having a discussion of legal issues. And whether or not you received the resignation from Judge Madrona as a question of fact, you may answer, the answer is no. You may tell them no. That's the answer. But as the legal consequences, filling the vacancy which doesn't exist, those legal questions you would have to bring to the court and bring it back next week.
Okay, I'm going to build it. Answer your questions in court, but we're going to have that information for you. It's because of the Texas Open Meetings Act, and your questions weren't posted, but we'll have those questions posted for next week, and we'll have that information. The information is covered in if you want to go online and listen to the thing that I read last week, it's all covered in that memo that I read aloud from the lawyers. But because of the open meetings law, I'm not going to be able to answer that question for you right now. I can answer it after court, probably. I could want to answer for you after court. So go ahead.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, and I want y'all to understand the reason that we have these open meetings rules, which sometimes can inhibit the free flow of information when people are asking us questions, but the reason those rules are there are to protect you from elected officials running amok and just putting things on agendas and passing them without any public comment. So, but I will visit with you about your question after this, because I can do that and not violate the Open Meetings Act, okay? Our next speaker is Dr. Juanita Wallace. And that's actually on a different topic.
Good morning. My name is Juanita Wallace. I reside at 1409 South Lamar, Dallas, Texas 75215. I'm here to speak to the commissioners and the judge regarding an incident. The Dallas NAACP received several complaints regarding the process and procedure during the investigation of 6 deputies: James Madison, Angela Brocknack, Gerald Warren, Grant, John Robinson, and Durst Kirby, all black. Only black deputies are being singled out and being investigated by Sheriff Valdez's office. We are not here to address the innocence or guilt of our clients, but we're addressing the disparity in the process and procedure. White deputies and the black deputies work the same grant, federal grant. It is our belief that a tainted process will ultimately render a tainted result. After several considerations and internal investigation, the Dallas NAACP has concluded that you are in violation of the civil rights as it relates to the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, discrimination. The findings are: deny the process, remove from positions without notice of reason. 2 of the 8 deputies have been indicted for tampering with government documents. Some of the deputies were not informed of the alleged violations or crime until they were transferred. Black deputies involved in the investigation are automatically sent to criminal investigation. A logical step would be internal investigation. Deputy J. Cox and other white deputies were given an opportunity to explain their inconsistencies and questionable entries. Perez White was under investigation but allowed to investigate himself, thus clearing himself, then allowed by his superiors to become an investigator of others. Conflict of interest. Perez and Plummer are the investigators. Who granted, and I want to know who granted them clearance. It has been alleged that Gary Lindsay, who sits on the disciplinary board, stated, "I am going to make an example out of these guys." Sounds like premeditation on that part. What do we want? We want the sheriff, Lupe Valdez, to respond to the NAACP in writing, acknowledging the findings of our clients, particularly the process and procedure for using to actually start this investigation. We are requesting that Gary Lindsay, Don Perez, and Danny Plummer be removed from this investigation, and they too be investigated under the same standards. We're asking for an independent investigation without bias and prejudice. Thank you very much.
And our last speaker is Ms. Wayne Week.
Good morning. This is really, I'm gonna say it's crazy. I want Commissioner Bryan, I want you to know this, that if you ran for president today against Barack Obama, I'd vote for you. I want you, Mr. Johnson, to know if you were appointed to human service at the national office, I support you. D.A. Watkins, if he was the Attorney General, I would support him. Now I'm down here talking about this judge stuff. I got a lot of information today that I didn't get, and one of the reasons we're not getting the proper information, Judge, is because I only saw you on the news last week. I didn't see the judge. And that's something that the media should do. They should give your side and the judge's side. We had a demonstration at Channel 8 last week at that debate that the senators had. Didn't nobody see us down there with no sign jumping around. No, we don't want left. What's the name?
Rollins.
One runs for the Senate from the mayor. Yeah, no, him. I don't want him to go nowhere. But anyway, we need to straighten this stuff up. If Judge Jenkins, if you lose your seat or indicted, who gonna take your place?
Answer that question.
I mean, we need representation. We don't need all this stuff y'all doing down here. I ain't got no doctorate and none of that. But y'all need to start treating us not nice. Y'all when you come to the community, we need your vote, we need your vote, we want your vote. These vote us, and then when we come out here, y'all say they and us. But these rich people come down here with these $1 million contracts, and we 20 of them standing around here. And here we are, poverty stricken, ain't got no gun, came by now, and the police is riding in here like we the Taliban. That's the waste of taxpayers' money. That don't make sense. I want a judge. And if it ever get up, I might run for that seat. You know what I'm talking about? Seriously. We need a judge in that precinct. I don't know if it's 3 or 5. I don't know what, because I can't afford no Dallas Morning News. So, I don't know which precinct it's in. But I want that seat occupied just like your seat would be occupied if you were vacant. And that's what so everybody, I want you to know that. Don't believe everything you hear and what you see either. Good morning.
Mr. Williams, so I got Kevin Corrales from the Dallas